My name is Alec. I'm 52 years old and I've just decided to completely change my life. I sold my apartment and bought a piece of land where I'm going to build a house for myself and my son. On this channel, I'll show you the entire process of building a wooden house, talk about the costs, and share the challenges I'll face along the way. I hope these videos will inspire someone else to follow an equally crazy dream. Building a wooden house involves many different tasks happening at the same time. After removing the topsoil and marking the locations of the foundation piers, I had to bury the electrical cables that will supply power to the house. This has to be done before I turn the entire site into Swiss cheese with dozens of deep holes, while I can still drive heavy machinery across the land. There's an old saying that every man should father a son, plant a tree, and build a house. I'm sure I'll quote that saying more than once during this project. Personally, I'd add one more item to the list. Operate an excavator at least once in your life. Renting a mini excavator costs around 70 euros. Add transportation and fuel, and the total came to about 120 euros. Considering how much work you can get done, that's a bargain. And on top of that, it's incredibly fun. I wasted half my life sitting behind a computer without realizing what I was missing. Learning to operate an excavator is actually pretty straightforward. At first, I couldn't make it do anything I wanted, but after about an hour, it felt like it was reading my mind. As soon as word got out that I'd rented this exotic toy, my friend Marcin showed up. After a quick lesson, he decided to give it a try. And just like that, I lost the privilege of using the excavator I'd paid for. I never got back into the driver's seat for the rest of the day. That's friendship for you. To supply power to the house, you need a YKY 5 times 10 square millimeters or YKY 4 times 10 square millimeters underground cable buried at least 60 centimeters below ground level. But that's not the only cable that has to go underground. I also need power and control cables for the gate and the pedestrian gate, drought, electricity for the well pump, and the water supply line to the house. And all of that has to be done twice, because there will eventually be 2 houses here. Since we've got such a great toy, we might as well enjoy it. Next day, it was just me and my new best friend. I spent the entire day digging the trench for the water supply. This part is serious business. The water pipe has to be buried below the frost line, which here is 1.2 meters. Otherwise, it could freeze during the winter. I dug the trench as deep as the excavator arm would allow, about 1.8 meters. Why not? If you're going to do it, you might as well do it properly. Under the site, it's almost nothing but clay, and very good quality clay at that. Unfortunately, that also makes it difficult to work with. Sometimes it doesn't want to come out of the ground, so you have to chip away at it. Other times it refuses to let go of the bucket, forcing me to climb down every now and then and scrape it out by hand. I had to trim part of the concrete well ring because the PE water pipe isn't flexible enough. Later, it turned out that this wasn't necessary at all, but there will be plenty of unnecessary jobs on this project, so I won't dwell on this one. The PE pipe was installed at a depth of 1.8 meters. After backfilling about 1 meter of soil, I laid the power cable above it. Building regulations require that you place a blue warning tape above buried electrical cables. That way, if someone digs here in the future and finds the tape, they'll know there's a cable underneath. Who would have thought? The European Union actually came up with a regulation that makes perfect sense. Let's enjoy the moment. We don't get too many of those. the strings stretched across the batter boards, I could finally mark the exact locations for drilling the foundation piers. This job, I hired a professional with the right drilling rig. Unfortunately, none of the local equipment rental companies had a machine suitable for drilling holes this deep, so I had to pay considerably more for this specialized equipment. still. A professional is a professional. He drilled all the holes in just 3 hours. Marcin returned to the battlefield once again, this time to help me cover the holes before the approaching storm. In our defense, the dark clouds rolled in incredibly fast, accompanied by thunder. We simply did what seemed like the best idea in that moment of panic. I put the camera away before the downpour started, so I didn't capture the storm itself. But the aftermath speaks for itself. Instead of frantically throwing boards over the holes, we probably should have carried a couple of chairs onto the viewing deck, made some popcorn, and watched as months of hard work and quite a bit of money were transformed into a spectacular disaster before our eyes. I think only one hole survived untouched. Every other one was either flooded or completely filled with mud. I borrowed a submersible pump to remove the water. It worked, to some extent. Unfortunately, the pump kept clogging with mud, so I had to stop every few minutes, take it apart, and clean it. What I really needed was a sludge pump, but that's an expensive piece of equipment, and none of the local rental companies had one available. I suppose I could have called the fire department for help. But that's an expense this project simply can't afford. Sometimes you just have to figure things out yourself. The echoes of this little disaster would continue to haunt the construction site for quite some time, even before the walls of my future house had been built. I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed to my channel, gave this video a thumbs up, or shared it with your friends. See you in the next episode.